Today we'll be going over the cleaning, daily cleaning on a Korinto 1-2. First you'll need your door key. Go ahead and unlock your door. Then you'll need your programming key. We're going to insert it into the slot on the panel of the machine. Go ahead and insert it. Turn it like you would your key in your door. We're going to go ahead and take out our drip tray. Just pulls out. Make sure you grab the corners of the drip tray so the machine doesn't fall off the counter. Key thing here is make sure power is on. See, it says insert tray, which is because we took our tray out. But main thing we're trying to do is reset this coffee bin counter. There's a switch that has to be triggered with this bin in or out, but power has to be stored to the machine so it knows that the bin's been taken out and you've emptied the bin. We're going to take our waste bin and drip tray over to our sink. You'll want to wash out your waste bin. Just warm water. Let it soak with some soap and wipe it out with a paper towel. Take apart our drip tray here. Take out your grate. Same with it. You can allow it to soak. You can just run it under some water. Wipe it down with a sponge. Same thing with this. Move our upper drip tray out of the way. We're just going to rinse off our base. You want to make sure you wipe out all the cracks and crevices at the bottom of your machine, just removing any excess coffee grounds that have accumulated down there. This is the Korinto 1-2 weekly cleaning schedule. First we're going to go ahead and take our hoses off. You'll have your hot water hose, just pulls right out. Same thing with your powdered hose, pulls right out. And you have your espresso hose, pulls right out. Next, we're going to remove the hose housing. You'll see here it says press here. You'll notice there's a tab in the corner here. Just going to go ahead and press that tab in. Slides off the rail, so we'll go ahead and set that to the side so we can wash it. Next step is take off our brew, not our brew chamber, our mixing bowl. You'll see here there's a green lever. We're just going to unlatch that, give it a little wiggle, and it'll pull straight out. That takes out your brew chamber. Your mixing bowl. Then you'll have your trough. Sometimes it gives you some troubles. It slides right out as well. So we'll take these items, we'll go over to the sink. Main thing is just making sure the inner side of your mixing bowl is sanitary and clean. Just take it, spray it out, get all the nice nastiness out of it. Set it to the side. Main thing on the trough is you'll see a lot of corrosion product builds up in there. We want to make sure that's nice and clean, as well as the chute's clean and the vent. Rinse that off, flip it over. Set that to the side. Then your hose chamber really doesn't get that dirty. Give it a little rinse. Just take everything, dry it off before you put it back in. Mixing bowl. Dry off your funnel. Main thing, you make sure this is really dry, because if it's not, powder will start to cake up on there when you go to use it for the first time, and it'll cause clogs. Same thing with our mixing chamber. Just go ahead and wipe it out real good. Now we'll go ahead and reinsert our materials. See, there's an impeller on your whipper housing. We're gonna hold the gear underneath, and then we're gonna turn our impeller counterclockwise while holding the gear. And the impeller disc spins off the shaft. Just want to take this over to the sink, wash it down real good. We're going to take our snap ends. See, there's still a spring left on the pole. You want to put that in between these two notches. Snap it back into place. Go ahead and insert your bottom grate. Drip tray's ready to go. This is a Korinto 1-2 monthly cleaning schedule. As you can see, we've already done our drip tray, we've done our mixing bowl. Third step is going to be take out your brew chamber. So you'll see here there's a green knob. Just going to turn that counterclockwise. So the pin is free, and the whole brew chamber will slide off. Next, you have to disconnect your pressure hoses. These are John Guest fittings, so it's imperative you make sure you push down on both sides of the fitting. To remove the hose. Same thing with the little one. Push down on both sides of the fitting to remove the hose. Now we have our brew chamber out. Take it over to the sink. Make sure you remove the rubber hose, or you can rinse it off in the sink real quick. Just run some hot water. Gonna make sure we get the funnel nice and clean. Make sure you rinse down into the brew basket itself. Get any excess grounds that are stuck in there. Flip the chamber over. Make sure you clean that top screen real good as well. Get the outside of it if you have any excess grounds on it. Next thing's kind of important. You want to make sure your chamber's nice and dry. You can dab it with a paper towel, let it air dry, or use some compressed air, spray out the cup and the top screen. Your brew chamber. I find it easiest when putting the brew chamber back in to go ahead and disconnect your high pressure hoses. Each hose is a different size, but just for your reference, the small hose fits on the back John Guest fitting. Key with this is to make sure it firmly is connected to this John Guest fitting. Go ahead and give it a good tug back out on it to make sure it is firmly secure. Otherwise, when the customer goes to brew, they'll have a lot of water spraying on the inside of their machine and a weak drink. Same thing with the large hose. Get a good grip on it. Sometimes you might need to use some pliers. Go ahead and give it a good tug back out. Make sure it's firmly inserted. Next step is on your brew chamber. You'll see at the bottom there's an arrow here and an arrow on the wheel. You want to make sure those arrows are close as they can be. They're not going to be perfect. This is when the brewer's in the home position, and this helps line up your gear pin with the gear motor. You'll also see inside the machine there's two posts, and on the bottom of your brew chamber there's also two posts that line up. So you just take it, make sure your brewer's in the home position, line those up. It's not always the quickest. Last step, go ahead and screw your brew chamber back in. Main thing to check for is just to make sure it's pretty flush with the chute. Kind of wiggle it. It has a little play in it, but not too much. Reassembling your Korinto 1-2 after you've taken it apart for your cleaning schedule. Take your impeller disc, hold the gear on the bottom of the mount. Take the impeller, thread it back on, spinning the impeller clockwise while holding the gear. You don't need to over tighten this. Get it hand tight. Next step is reinserting your mixing bowl. We'll go ahead and insert our drop. Then we'll reinsert the bowl. Main thing is to make sure that this hole lines up with this water hose back here. I guess you could go ahead and just reassemble everything. Just make sure that this hole lines up with the hose. Push back on the chamber. Make sure that you do remember to lock it in place. Otherwise you'll have powder and water spraying out the bottom. So you're just going to take your tab, push it over, lock it in place, tug on it, make sure it's secure. Next we're going to reassemble our hose housing. You'll see there's a rail on the side of the machine that lines up with the rail on the hose housing. Just slide that on back. It should snap into place. Now we'll go ahead and reinsert our hoses. You'll take your coffee hose, espresso hose, and you'll see in this one there aren't any notches, but it goes in the back two holes. Just sits in place. Next we have our hot water hose, and on these there is a notch on the end of the hose. Just take the notch and it will line up with the notch on the actual brew chamber. Hose housing, I should say. Just stick it down in there. You can give it a little twist, kind of lock it in place. Same thing with our powder hose. Has a notch on it as well. Lines up with the notch in the hose housing. Take that, turn it the right way. Push it down into place, and you can give it a little turn to lock it into place. Last but not least, we'll insert our waste bin. Make sure it does go firmly back. That triggers the micro switch. Then we'll insert our drip tray. Sometimes it helps if the machine is on a edge of a counter as well to insert the drip tray, I find. Snap it back into place. Just make sure you push the machine back onto the counter so the drip tray is flush with the corner. Take out our service key. Go ahead and shut our door. Lock the machine door. The machine should cycle power back on. What we're looking for is to make sure it runs through proper operating procedures and it does not give us any errors saying brewer's out of place, waste bin is out, or drip tray is out. And that's reassembling your Korinto 1-2.